Oh, wait, look, we're on air. Yay! And I scheduled this to start at this time because I thought we might, this is late enough, we might just be getting the beginnings of a plausible result happening. And lo and behold, we already have a conclusive result, which was not really expected. It's pretty goddamn funny, though. Yeah, let me adjust a couple of things here. Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah, getting everything in place. Hopefully this is all working. Yes, just waiting for people to join. Maybe everyone's too busy at their own election parties to join this, but it's quite the result here in Victoria. Definitely the results I wanted. I would not have bet money on this result, though. I always thought the most likely outcome was that the government would be returned, and I was hoping for an increased majority, but I would not dared to have hoped for such an overwhelming result as we seem to have at this point, comparatively early in the vote count. But all the indications are that, yeah, the government is getting a significantly increased majority, and the opposition is getting absolutely creamed, and I mean slaughtered. It's a goddamn bloodbath, man. I'm telling you, it's a goddamn bloodbath. I'm just thinking of trying to get ABC iView happening as well. I mean, yeah, it's hardly required. The result is so much in Labor's favour. Ooh, what am I doing? I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi happening. Yes, Luke, it looks like a foregone conclusion. It's hilarious. If I'd have known this was going to be the result, I would have started the live stream at about 7. For such conclusive results to be in by 8 was not unheard of, but it's unusual. Like I was fully prepared, you know, to do this through to 10 o'clock and still not be completely sure of what the result was going to be. No, I don't want that. I'm trying to work out. I can maybe get ABC iView, there we go, on my phone, just to get updates. That one, that's what we want. Victoria votes. Where do I get the live stream? I don't want the bloody... I want the live stream. Where is it? No, I don't want that. This is what I want, the live stream. I found the live stream. Watch live, thank you. I'll put the volume down because I don't need that. But yeah, I'll just have that handy for the numbers because, yes, the majority needed to form government in Victoria is 45 seats, and that's what the government had going into this election, 45 seats. Now, I always said the most likely result was the government would be returned, hopefully with an increased majority. Now it's like there's no doubt the government's being returned, and probably with a really significantly increased majority. Looking at the ABC live stream now as a go. There's the ABT is calling 54 seats for the ALP, 19 for the Liberal National Party coalition, 1 for the Greens, 1 for an independent, and 13 in doubt. And I mean, the hilarious thing is, even on the figures, there's no way the Liberals are winning all of those 13 in doubts. But even if they did, they'd have, what, 32 seats. Like, you know, the government would have an over 20 seat majority. Now, if those split 50, say one goes to the Green may not get another seat. I think they had 3, and there's only 1 confirmed now. But let's say, to make the maths easy, if 1 of those 13 went to the Greens and half went each to the government and the opposition, the government would have 60 seats and the Libs would have 25 seats. So in simple terms, the government is going to have between a 20 and 30 seat majority. It's an absolute bloodbath. I love it. I love it so much. It warms my dark, cold heart to see these motherfuckers get creamed. And this is not solely because of my political persuasion, as in supporting the Labor Party over the Liberals, but it's just that the Liberals' campaign was so hateful, so negative, so racist, so bigoted, so reactionary. If they had done well, that basically would bode very ill for the health of Australia, as far as I'm concerned. But they didn't do well. Their bullshit came back on them. Now I'm just going to put a thing. Ooh, wait, what the hell? What was that? Ooh. Oh, gee, great. This laptop is just giving me jip. Being very slow. Join. No caps lock. Join me in a live stream gloating about the LNP getting creamed in the Victorian state election. And I'll put the linky doodles. And yes, just in case anyone's sitting around on Facebook and needs a friend. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is like, I was actually quite nervous about this election because so much was riding on it. Like I said, it isn't just a question of I support this political party over that political party. I thoroughly believe the policies the Conservatives were pushing were just horrifically toxic, absolutely appallingly toxic, and so destructive to Australia in general, that I'm just so glad that this result's come in, because this should knock on to the federal election, because the fuckheads in the federal Conservative coalition were trying to push this anti-migrant rhetoric really hard as well. And they do seem thoroughly married to ideology over reality. But even with their thick heads, this might sink in as being really bad, and that they need that. Since Tony Abbott was leader, they've moved further and further to the right, to the point where they're very unreflective of a significant majority of Australians. And then when Abbott proved to be an absolute disaster as Prime Minister, he's a very effective opposition leader when all he had to do was fight and be obnoxious. But he proved to be a disastrously bad Prime Minister, and so bad that the Liberals took the almost unprecedented step of ousting their sitting Prime Minister. And then Turnbull totally betrayed all his own principles to pander to the extreme right of the party, and it didn't work for either of them. And now Morrison, an evangelical fundamentalist dickhead, is there, and it doesn't seem to be working for him. And hello, Pat talks, Sebastian and Tendai. Pat, have I ever voted for a Conservative? No, never. Not that I was particularly brought up in a political household. It wasn't really talked about, but from the point I got into politics, I was always into left politics. So yeah, most definitely never voted for the Liberal Party, to the point where a lot of times I found it very hard to consider voting for the Labor Party. But this is one instance where I consider this state election so important, and it was so important that the Labor government was returned. I wouldn't have considered voting for a minority party. Sebastian, Scummo, a seat warmer. I loved what Tony Windsor said about him. Tony Windsor was the country independent. He used to be in the National Party, but defected because he believed the Nationals weren't representing the interests of the people in rural areas, that they were just toadies to the Liberal Party. And so he ran and won an election as an independent Conservative. And then famously, he supported a minority Gillard government over a minority Abbott government, because he met with both of them and he could just tell Abbott is a piece of shit, and Gillard pledged to help his constituents and he supported her. And he still commentates, he's not in Parliament anymore, but his comment on Morrison was, Morrison's one saving grace is he saved us from a Prime Minister Dutton. Prime Minister Dutton would have been a disaster. Prime Minister Morrison will just be a failure. Oh, she's pretty fucking cruel, but I loved it. Shemp, you remember your schoolmates wearing Give Gough a Go t-shirts. That was a radical election. I honestly don't really remember that election. I was a young'un, because that was very big politics. So the fact I don't remember it means to me that, yeah, I really wasn't paying attention. Yes, facts over feels. This is all cocktails all night to celebrate this. Shempmeister, you were about 8. I was also about, we must be about the same age, my friend. Mitchell, you're from where? Is Australia Liberty Alliance right? If you are asking, is the people calling themselves Liberty Alliance right-wing, I would say they are complete right-wing fuckheads and they're absolutely contemptible. But that's just me, because I'm a radical loony lefty. Yeah, Sebastian, it was very interesting. The minority Gillard government achieved much more from a legislative perspective than the majority Abbott and even majority Turnbull government did, because she knew she needed to work with other people. That was not possible for her to just bulldoze her way through anything. So she actively collaborated, whereas Abbott in particular was such a maniacal fucking wanker. He acted like he could treat anyone like shit and he couldn't get anything done. So, yeah. Sebastian saying that Liberty Group's run by an Israeli goes around harassing people. Fascists, yeah. No, everything I've seen about them is they're fucking scum. Hey, a quick question. Does the audio sound any different tonight? Because I was experimenting. Young Ms. Angry used to use a microphone for her live streaming and doesn't use it anymore. And so I commandeered it. And I don't know if this is even working on my laptop. I don't know if it's even picked it up. Does it sound different? Does it get different when I'm here? Please tell me, because people had mentioned in the last couple of live streams there was problems occasionally with the sound. Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, the audio sounds good. But does it seem to be coming from this mic? Like, does this sound louder than this? Is this like what, yeah, right out here or right in here? Does that change things at all? Because I want to know if this microphone's doing it. Middle Earth Productions, Guy, how are you doing? Not yet, but it's all cocktails all night. So for those playing at home, this is called a paper plane. I got this in my cocktail book. It's called a paper plane. It's got bourbon. What did I put in it? What's that Italian one called? My brain's gone. Aperol. I was going to say Amaro. Oh, yes. Okay. It's supposed to have bourbon, Aperol, and Amaro. Aperol's a bitter Italian liqueur. Amaro is a herby Italian liqueur. Now, I don't have any Amaro, so I used Jägermeister, which is a herb liqueur. So this is bourbon, Aperol, Jaeger, and lemon juice. And makes for a good mix of flavors, because you get obviously the bourbon undertones, you get a bitter edge from the Aperol, and the herby flavors from the Jaeger. So okay, I've unplugged the mic because it's not doing it. Maybe that's why Mrs. Young is Angry doesn't. Wait, was that just not even in? I just pushed the back. Wait, I'm going to try something. This may not have even been in. I just pushed the back of it and the cord went in. Okay, we're going to do a little experiment here, and I hope it doesn't fuck anything up. But trying again. Not sure if that's going to do anything. So, oh yes, we're setting up a device. Let's do this. Maybe this mic. Okay, now discoverable. Find a setting. Audio. What's unknown devices? Bluetooth. I can find my TV. I could ruin the Mrs. Angry is watching the election results. I could ruin that by doing anything. Now, what are we doing as audio? Yay. Okay. Okay, no, that's doing that. Okay. Now, did let me see if I can work this out. Okay, yeah, look, I think I just changed the microphone. Now tell me, this is loud. Is this louder? Is this louder? Is this different over here? Or is it the same? 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 I don't know. I don't know. We'll work it out. So, but look, either way, it's happening, it's working, all these things. Heine dropped 12 frames per second. See, there's a thing with live streams. If they go out at your end, there's about a million things that could be the problem. Could be a problem with my connection here. Could be a problem with you and your ISP. Could be anywhere the routing in between. Shitmeister, I'm trying to make installing the thing now. It's not working. Okay, I can whatever. I might experiment with that another time and see if I can make it work, because it might be thinking. Because I'm also thinking of doing a podcast, and you got to have a funky microphone for podcast. Hey, boys and girls out there in podcast land. So yeah. Shitmeister, I had to look. I saw your question. Do you have to switch the mic on? I was going, don't you treat me like an idiot? And then I realized I don't know. But no, I don't think so. But my system did recognize it. Okay, are we back? Are we back? Are we back? Let's see. I was just about to give up, and I think I got it to work again. I have to see. I've gone for like low bandwidth, and we've got to see. What are we back? We're back. We're back. We can do this. We're back. There we go. All right. So I got to pop the chat out again, and we can fucking hit our stride. Everything's going a bit slowly, but I think I worked out how to bring it back. I'm hoping this is stable. Okay, I've only got top chat there. I'm going to put a live chat. There we go. Happening. Mofo's saying, what's a pop-up in Paradise City? Okay, no, I'm happy. We're back. Well, that was, sabotaged by Matthew. Oh my God. Speaking about people who be having a shitty night, Matthew fucking Guy, like his entire campaign is a colossal failure, like an absolutely colossal failure. It's just, and I'm, like I've already said, I'm so glad it was a colossal failure because his campaign was fucking evil. It was all bigotry, regressive, like 1950s social conservatism, and massive government overreach as well. This is what always does my head in. Certainly in Australia, supporters of like the Liberal Party, but this tends to be true for conservatives around the world. They go, oh, conservatives are about small government and the government not interfering in people's lives. And yet this Liberal Party was promoting for massive government overreach, like taking really quite extreme action on people who hadn't even been convicted of a crime. And it was just like, there was like the safe injecting room had been set up in Melbourne in one of the more troubled areas with drug use. And it immediately improved the situation with junkies not being on the streets and people not overdosing and syringes not being in the fucking gutter and whatnot. But just like on principle, no, the injecting room's wrong. I'm going to shut it down. He's doing, again, with the endless attacks on safe schools, which is like the anti-bullying campaign. But because the Safe Schools program said, hey, you probably shouldn't be a complete piece of shit to students who are like gay, bi, transgender. They're like, oh, that's not acceptable. We should be allowed to be shit to little weirdos. And of course, the absolute racist lies about, oh, the crime's out of control, despite the fact crime's much lower than it used to be. Yes, there are independent incidents that are bad, but at the same time they go like, okay, like that piece of shit who stabbed the guy in well, he stabbed multiple people and he killed one person in Burke Street. Absolute piece of garbage, reprehensible, and anyone, if anyone else was implicated in bloody making that guy act the way he did, they should be prosecuted as well. But to act as if this one death was the end of the world and extreme actions required as a result. I think we're up to over 70 women being murdered this year by current or former partners. And it's like, why don't we look at the murders that are actually happening all the time, that are happening more than once a week, as opposed to the incredibly rare incidents? Like, people's risk assessment is fucking terrible. Yeah, that whole fucking fear campaign and the bigotry seems to have failed spectacularly, which is something special. Candy, I saw that. You said, what do I think about Green's rape culture? It's fucking terrible, isn't it? For those who don't know, the Green Party, who trumpets their progressive stands and all these wonderful things they say they do, in both New South Wales and Victoria, they had incidents where not only was someone within the party being called out for sexually harassing and assaulting females in the party, the Greens seem to have been actively protecting both of these guys, and they've got to wake the fuck up themselves. There is massive dysfunction within the Green Party, and I just saw a brief interview with Richard Di Natale where he went, oh yeah, well, but the Labor Party is completely fucked. Yeah, the Labor Party has got problems with their culture and infighting with their culture, but they're the fucking government, man. They've got all the seats. You're a fringe party, and you're letting shit happen that seems to be the complete opposite to what you spout all the time. It doesn't take much loss of support for you to lose all support. So the Greens have got some fucking shit to do, honestly. Yes, Liberals suck. Yes, it was good news. The Liberals got smashed. It's very, 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 very good news. Very happy about it. Pretty happy. It's so funny. I didn't expect this conclusive a result this soon. Like, that's what, if I'd have known how this was going to go, I would have started the live stream an hour earlier. So there was still maybe some room for doubt. But I mean, often we get to, on an election night, you get to 10 o'clock and it's still not definite what the result is. That's why I thought I'm going to do the live stream 8 to 10. It's quite likely we'll have a strong indication of the result by that stage. But yeah, to have a really conclusive result by about 7:30 is amazing. Liberals like, do I wish the Greens got more votes? Not specifically. The Greens have done too many things to piss me off, quite frankly. And the Libs were never going to form government. So the best they were ever going to get was to be able to destabilize the government. And there is some strength, as we were mentioning before, about the minority Gillard government actually achieved a lot by working with other people. You know, maybe we'd be better off if there wasn't like two monolithic parties that, you know, you always needed to form a coalition to make government. There'd probably be a bit less extremism in governments. But I don't put a lot of stock in the Greens at the moment, quite honestly. I think they've got a bunch of shit to sort out. Yes, I think it wasn't one accused, well, candidates. I think I'm pretty sure there was a member of the party. I don't know if he was a candidate in New South Wales, and there's a member in Victoria. So that's some shit the Greens need to work out. Mitchell, what do I think of smaller parties? Well, it's going to depend on what the smaller party is. I mean, yeah, I've got a bit of time for the Reason Party, but there are a bunch of like minor parties going for Senate seats, and they're complete assholes. Like, Andy, what's numbers for the ALA? I don't know. Bad, I think. And Safi, yes, I think this is a big fuck you to the federal LNP coalition. I think they will be fair shitting the bed tonight. This is okay. I'm a spiteful person. My big hope is that, okay, this has been a resounding rejection of the bullshit that Matthew Guy pushed, obsessing over stuff that either wasn't true or people didn't give a shit about. Like going, oh, law and order, when the crime rates are down. They're dramatizing individual incidents, which are bad for the people involved, but they're trying to extrapolate and say because individual incidents happen, therefore big picture things are bad. Big picture things are good. Like, you know, you could say, you know, if you reduced violent crime 99%, that would be great, but it wouldn't be as great if you were a victim of the 1%, would it? You know, if you had a family member assaulted or murdered, you're not going to be as enthused about lower crime rates, and that's a completely legitimate feeling. But the Liberals, and notably Dutton at the federal level, blatantly lying. It wasn't even spin. It wasn't emphasizing one thing over the other, telling straight up blatant lies. People in Melbourne are scared to go out at night. Absolute lies, and building them around racism. And this is the disgusting thing. It's not just their lies and racist lies. The people telling them knew they were lies. They knew they were inflaming and validating racists. And they were damaging Australian society overall in the desperate chase for some votes. And it's backfired on them and blown up in their faces. So fuck them. Yes. Oh, yeah, no, Safra, I know the Sex Party got renamed, not Reasonable, Reason, the Party of Reason. I mentioned them a bit earlier. Thanks for dropping by, Tendai. Gosh, Shitmeister, was there an Aussie battler party? It's like all those minor things. You want to, sorry, someone's come in the kitchen, you want to get something. You're not going to be, just stay on that side and you'll be fine. See? I'm going to set up because I'm really rude and I'm in the kitchen that other people might want to use, but I'm only on half the kitchen, so they can come in and do stuff. So all is well. Yeah, it'll be, with all these minor parties in the Senate, it will be ages before, I think he's already had ice cream. Did you want it? Ice cream's in that freezer if you want it. This is all so you get stuff without being on camera. See, I'm just looking after people here. It'll be days before we know Senate results. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see which, if any, of these really weird fringe parties are going to get a Senate seat, you know, and like typically the way some of these things were being sort of scammed together, it was possible for someone to win a Senate seat with 0.3% of the primary vote. Anthony Green on the ABC hates that. He wants it changed. Yeah, which I agree. But it'll be interesting to see if any of those really fringe minor people get in the Senate. Were there big queues? There were queues. They weren't super long where I was, but Angry's ice cream party. Yeah, I'd do that. Look, seriously, I'm not even joking. We're talking about senators getting in with 0.3% of the vote. God, it's enough to make me consider running for the Senate and just being a real loudmouth, like really just attracting a lot of attention and being really forthright on what I think. And people saying, but wait, you said mean things on the internet. And going, okay, look, if you're going to pull out something I said on YouTube years ago where I called someone a cunt and said I hope they died, you're taking that out of context. You need to understand it within the context it was given. And the context was, I really fucking hated that person. They were a cunt and I wanted them to die. So it's just like, yeah, just be totally unapologetic. Saf, will I be like, great? Hopefully not, because he's a really broken person and a really severe loser who can't maintain relationships with anyone. Matty, do I consider myself a feminist? Look, I don't know if I'm in a minority or a majority here. The fact that I support feminist causes and I support feminists, I don't call myself a feminist because I'm male, and I think by definition that means I'm not a feminist. See, if I support Indigenous land rights, if I support Aboriginal activists, that doesn't make me an Aboriginal activist, because I'm not. I'm a supporter of their cause. I know you get a lot of people who will talk about male feminist. It's not a term I use for myself. It's not a term I like. Other people use it. That's their call if they want to use it. But I think by definition, I can't be a feminist because I'm not a woman. I support feminism. I'm an ardent advocate for feminism. But I personally don't use the term male feminist for myself at all. Liberal suck. Dude, I'm an extremist, man. I'm a radical loony lefty, definitely. I'm going to do the angry party. So see, the thing is, I don't think you even have to raise funds to go in these fucking Senate races. I mean, seriously, you can imagine I could just get out there and I have a lot of genuinely held beliefs that I think would resonate with a lot of people. And like when you see like this bullshit with Trump just doing absolutely horrific things, saying horrific things and treating people like shit and being awful and never suffering any repercussions for it, is driving people a bit crazy. I mean, I'd be that person for the radical left, just going, yep. No, I honestly did call that person a complete cunt. That's because that's what they are. And, you know, it's like when I said I wanted them to die, I'm not going to kill them. I'm not even going to punch them. I'm not a violent person. But, you know, if they got hit by a tram tomorrow, am I going to shed a tear? No. Like, ha. You know, I don't usually wish for people to die. But there's a lot of people, if they die, won't regret it for a second, and I'll be fucking glad for a bunch of them. So, yeah, the one thing I'm not going to be, the one thing I will try as hard as possible to not do is be a hypocrite. So I think that's how Darren Hinch got in. I'm not sure. I don't know what percentage of the vote Hinch got. The weird one in the last Victorian state election, the guy who got in with a bizarrely small bit of the vote was the guy from the Shooters Party. And because none of them expected him to get in. And it was a huge shock when he did get in. And then these people who were like organizers of the shooter party, they had all these grand plans and they wanted to tell him to do stuff. And he decided he didn't like them. And I'm pretty sure he ditched them and went independent. I can't remember his name, but he actually seemed like a decent person. I had a little bit of interaction with him online. I mean, now it seems like the people calling themselves the Hunters and Shooters Party have taken money from the American gun lobby, and they are part of this evil wedge trying to weaken Australia's gun laws, which an overwhelming majority of the population don't want weakened. In fact, I think you could probably get a decent majority of the population to vote for stricter gun laws in Australia. So I think the gun lobby's fucking evil. Liberals like, have I ever punched anyone? Yes. Not for a long. I haven't been in a fight for a long time. I'm not the type to get into fights. I'm much more into de-escalating situations. Man, I used to do boxing in my youth. growing up in a country town, go to the police boys club or the police citizens club. Police. It was called, when I was a kid, it was the PCBC, Police Citizens Boys Club, or we called it Police Boys Club. And of course, at a certain point, and I think this was in the 80s, early 80s, somewhere around then, early 80s, mid 80s, they said it's not just for boys. It's kind of ridiculous that we're still using this name. So it was changed to the Police Citizens Youth Club, where you'd play sport and stuff. Yeah, Kyle, Blue Light Boxing. That was the one. Yeah, no, but Coppers ran the police youth club. Liberal suck. Why did I punch that? Oh, you said last time I was in a fight, why did I punch someone? I honestly have to stretch back. Oh, no, actually, I did one thing once. And it's probably the last bit of violence I got involved in. And it was stupid, and I pushed it too far, and I regretted it straight away. This is when I was at college. I was doing a live thing, and there was this drunken yobbo being a real asshole on the stage, and there was a lot of stress attached to this night, and this guy was just being a real asshole and heckling and threatening, and I just kind of lost my shit momentarily and dived at him off the stage, and I fucking got him. Like, I almost took his head off, I think, and like dived off stage and like straight into his head, smashed him into the ground, and then there was arms and legs flailing everywhere. And straight away, like literally as I did it, I went, "This was bad," and a bunch of people broke it up, and I actually apologized. He wasn't really into listening to my apology, but I just said, "Dude, I was actually in the wrong there. As much as you were being a complete prick, what I did was out of line." Yeah, sorry. That it wasn't a huge punch up, but I did like a full-on dived off a stage into this guy's head and smashed him into the ground. Didn't injure him, but he was really pissed off, which is I think why he wasn't listening to my apology. Yeah. That was probably the last bit of violence I got involved in. And it was just a combination of things. And this guy pushed me too far. But I also think because I acknowledge I was basically completely in the wrong, that may well be why I never got involved in violence again after that. Because it's like, okay, get your fucking shit sorted. No, Liberal's like, I didn't break his nose. I didn't break anything. Kyle. Today, I'm all about Labor. In other elections, I might be about minor parties, but I thought it was so important that Labor got returned in this election. And Timothy, yes, well, it's a good fucking end of a voting day. I'll tell you that, my friend. The fucking Liberals getting crushed. Bureau, you punched a Nazi in high school. Man, in high school, I got into a couple of fights. But in high school, no, I was going to say, I almost lied and said I never started the fights. There are actually one or two situations in high school. I don't know that I started it or provoked it, but it got to a certain point with someone being a dick and pushing things, and I was going, okay, step up, motherfucker. And so I got into a couple fights in high school. Now, again, nothing really severe, nothing where people got broken noses or teeth knocked out or anything, but certainly gotten a couple fights in high school. Yeah, nothing too severe. Safa, I'm in like the East Beach suburbs of Melbourne, and they're all sweet. We're the Liberal member, and I thought it was a done deal that there was no Labor, but my seat's going Labor apparently, which is fucking hell. Liberals, why am I so angry with the thing angry? A little backstory for you, my friend. The persona, AngryAussie, this started like 13 years ago. My initial idea was to actually go into stand-up comedy. I had friends in the stand-up world, and I thought I'm going to try and work out some material first. And I was writing funny material on a blog, and I had to come up with a name. And I had this idea. I need to push myself. I need to put something on it every day. I need to do content every day. And so I called the blog. It was hosted on a platform that I don't think exists anymore. Google bought. It was called Blogger. And I called it Angry 365 Days a Year, because I was going to put something on every day for 365 days. And after I'd been doing it for a while, I wasn't sure if this was the platform I wanted. Someone else said, hey, there's this other platform called WordPress, and it's really good. And so I started posting the content on WordPress as well. But when I went to WordPress, someone already had the page name Angry 365, which I had on Blogger, so I had to come up with something else. And I just very arbitrarily came up with AngryAussie. And then the WordPress blog took off. The Blogger one hadn't really taken off. The WordPress blog took off, so I concentrated on it. And I got a bit of a following on this blog. And people said, hey, you should do this as a podcast. That would be good, because you're trying to get stuff from to do live, record it as a podcast to test. And I thought, yeah, that's okay. And then I just got broadband internet for the first time. And this was about a year after YouTube started up. YouTube was just getting big. And I had a little camera, and I thought, oh, why not leapfrog? Instead of just being audio, I'll perform to camera, and then I'll know how I'll look to an audience. So I started on YouTube, and I did do a little bit of stand-up, but YouTube's a lot more enjoyable than stand-up, quite honestly. So the whole angry thing is a very deliberate, contrived thing, where the whole idea was always I would do like performative anger. I would get angrier about things than they probably deserved. You know, exaggeration for comedic effect, as it were. Aggro Pixie, you tried to crush a guy with his own desk in year 10. I bet you did. And yeah, he started it. You had no regrets. I bet he had regrets afterwards. I thoroughly believe you could crush a dude with a desk. Also, if a blogger still exists, there you go. But not only have I not updated my blogger thing for years, I barely updated the WordPress blog for years. I keep meaning to, but I never do. I like that liberals there. Used to do stand-up dressed like John Howard and do an impression. Nice. I like that. That's good. So you signed up to YouTube in 2006. I think I did as well. I think that's when I started doing the whole Angry Aussie shtick. 2006, what a long time ago. Thomas, look, it is worth dropping by just to say eat shit, Lyle. The rejection of ultra-conservative bigotry and bullshit is fantastic. This is, you know, and I'm not saying, oh, you can't be conservative politically or whatnot. You know, people are different. People place importance on different things. Not saying conservative parties shouldn't exist, because they reflect, you know, up to half the population, more than half the population at given times. But the recent campaigns that have been lies and built around bigotry and have been designed to exploit bigotry, that's just bullshit. I'm not on board with that at all. Absolutely unreasonable. And in Victoria tonight, we saw that get thoroughly rejected. And yeah, Thomas, Lyle Shelton from the so-called Australian Christian Association, is that what they call themselves? But it's not official. He doesn't, no one elected him to represent Christians. He appointed himself, and he's just an ultra right-wing, hate-filled, lying bigot. What's up? Does the YouTube thing get trying? The YouTube thing gets very trying. And I won't lie, like I've been doing it for like, I'm coming up on 13 years, and there have been lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of times it's felt like this is not really worth doing. What I try and focus on now is having fun. That's why I do a lot of live streams, because the live streams are fun. I really enjoy the interaction in the live streams. And that's what I focus on. Loogie, 5 a.m. You're just off work in the USA. My friend, I'm very well because we had an election in my state here, and it not only went the way I wanted it to, it went astonishingly well, far beyond anything I could have hoped for. And it's been an absolute crushing win and a forthright rejection of the lies, scaremongering, and bigotry of the major conservative parties. So I'm pretty fucking happy. I do need to make myself another drink though. See if there's an update on the numbers. I'm not sure if me starting up ABC iView is what killed my live stream before, so maybe I should be careful. I'll just really quickly get it to see what they're saying seats. They're now confirming 57 for the ALP, 21 for the Conservatives, 1 Green, 1 Independent, 8 in doubt. Oh my God, they've just fucking creamed them. That's been an absolute slaughter. Safa, do I think churches should pay taxes? Yes, I do. They raise money. They don't necessarily have to be taxed the same ways as commercial businesses. Not that commercial businesses pay the tax they should. You know, they could have a bunch of deductions, but symbolically, yeah, they should. Oh, Loogie, I'm about to make myself another drink. Might make a whiskey sour. Ah, and I read this variation. Whiskey sour is one of my favorite drinks. Look, I went to Costco. Ah, look at the size of this bottle of bourbon. 1.75 liters. I have a really huge head, and look, it's as big as my head, basically. Huge bottle of bourbon that I've got to open from Costco. So I'm going to make a whiskey sour with bourbon, one of my favorite drinks. But I read of this variation, but I've got to pull all the ingredients together. Where's my cocktail shaker? It's over here. All right, let's do this. Okay. Let me just... My cocktail shaker, my lemon juice. I need some egg white. Okay. All right, this will do. So, whiskey sour is not the simplest cocktail, but it's not particularly. Oh, Safa, how long will it take me to drink this bourbon? For months, because I only make cocktails. I don't usually, you know, drink a lot. So, how many standard drinks are in there? So it should say it on here somewhere, shouldn't it? 50. Okay, 51 standard drinks. And when I make a whiskey sour, I tend to only put 1 in there. So, you know, that's 50 whiskey sours in there. Liberal suck. I always get, not always, but I regularly get people asking, Maddie, you're a bad influence, telling me to scull it. Nice. Wolfie, you have a shaker. I've got my shaker here. I've got a couple shakers. Residue of my last drink in there. Waste not, want not. So this is going to be a variation on a whiskey sour. And you don't always put sugar syrup in whiskey sour, but I like to. And this I actually got, you get sugar syrup from like bottle shops, or you can make your own just on the stove. But I got this one from Costco, actually, agave syrup. This is like the base that tequila is made from. But this is, you can use this in cooking as well. It's actually designed to use for cooking. But I use it for a sweetener in cocktails. So agave, or sugar syrup, or whatever. And because I'm making a sour, egg white, because that gives it a nice texture and makes it frothy. And the bourbon. Oh, Sue, Yeah. No, I got a text from Jane, and she go, "Oh, it looks good." And I go, "It looks more than good. Huge, huge crushing win that will be making the federal Liberal Party fair shit themselves, I think, which is a good thing." Okay, put the lid back on the bourbon. Oh, Liberal suck. I will make this, and I will tell you of our most famous weirdo on this live stream. Oh God, no, Safa, you can't have a shot for every seat Labor gained. They're 15 seats up at the moment. That'll kill you. Oh, I love it, Sebastian. Libs are at each other's throat. Kenneth saying Kroger, the state president, should resign. Now, I'm going to let you on one little bartending secret. When you're making a drink with egg white in it, whiskey sour is what I'm making, but lots of drinks have egg white in them. When you're shaking, the best way to do it, you shake it once without ice. Now, often, when people shake a cocktail in a cocktail shaker, there's ice in there and it makes all this rattling noise and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, but to get the most sort of foamy goodness out of your egg white cocktail, you do a shake with no ice. That's called a dry shake. And then to chill it, after you've got it all foamy, then you put some ice in it. That's called a wet shake. So I've got it all foamy, get a little bit of ice in here. Here's what I want. Right. So now a little bit of ice in there. On my first line, going through all the results. And there you get your nice rattling noise from shaking it. Now I'll strain that. My little strainer. And strain that into my glass. And get the extra ice in there. Yeah. All right, so that's that. Now, this is the variation I'm trying, because I read about this today. Just putting very carefully, putting a little topping of port. Not like a whole shot of port, just a bit of port floating on the top. For a bit of a different flavor in there. Wolf, you had many wet shakes starting in puberty. Yes, well, that is the nature of the beast, as it were. So you see the port sort of floating on top. So that's my whiskey sour. I think this is called a New York sour. Oh, I love me a whiskey sour. Yes, but yes, another celebratory drink. Spilling's a bit. I need like a cloth to wipe up all my spills here. In fact, I honestly think I should do that. I'll just go over here, get a cloth. Rinse. So otherwise, if I don't clean this up, it's going to get really sticky. That's what she said. Sure, you know what you're talking about there, Wolfie. The wet shakes get a bit messy and a bit sticky, and you've got to clean them up. All right, that's a bit better. I don't have anything dry, so I'll just got me off because it's a little bit colder yesterday and today in Melbourne. After we had some quite warm weather, we got some quite cold weather. So, okay, I got my drink. I did promise you a little bit of the story. Now, long-term viewers of the live stream will know this story. But yes, there was a guy. Okay, and he was on the live streams a lot, and he had a lot of opinions. And he called, his username was Video Dude, and he was on the live streams a lot and put up with him. But then weirdness started coming out of him, like randomly. Apparently, he was fixated with the Mormon religion, but he was somewhat prone to violence, profanity, and drug use, which meant he couldn't actually get on with the Mormons. So he was like really into the idea of the Mormon religion, but he couldn't be in the Mormon church. That's fine. But then he started randomly coming out with really homophobic and transphobic slurs, and was like, yeah, dude, shut the fuck up. And he wouldn't. He kept sort of spouting these things, and because the Hangouts here let me do, I can either block someone permanently or I can give them a timeout. There's a thing that shuts them out for 10 minutes. And I said to him, you need to stop your shit. And he wouldn't. So, okay, you're in the naughty chair. And I did the timeout thing for the whole shenanigans. And he came back even worse and threatened me. And I went, dude, I cut you far too much slack because you've been in the live streams for a long time, but I'm going to ban you if you don't shut the fuck up. And he didn't shut the fuck up, so I banned him. And then he started sending me these long, rambling letters that were really speaking from a very troubled frame of mind. But he was weird. Oh, liberal suck. You thought Celtic King and Locust Trooper was no, Celtic King was just kind of funny. Locust Trooper was weirdo again, someone who got too obnoxious and opinionated and aggressive and entitled, and I just said, yeah, dude, you need to like calm your shit down or I will block you because I just have zero interest in your bullshit. And he wouldn't shut the fuck up, so I blocked him, and he acted all psycho and wacko about that. Celtic King is apparently a friend of this Video Dude guy. He's in jail now because some cops frisked him when he had dope on him, and his reaction to cops frisking him was to punch a cop, which got him a jail term. Oh, yeah. Oh, so your maniacal fridge that spits ice. I use it to combine wine, vodka, and strawberries. I mean, that sounds good. That sounds very good. Well, if you traipse across this fair country to visit Melbourne, you know, I'll make you some cocktails because it's a thing I like to do. I already know what I'm going to do next because I got, so you can see all the bottles there. They're different things. Mrs. Angry's son's having some friends over tonight for a birthday sleepover. They're in his room playing video games or watching anime or something. But when they were out here earlier, couldn't help but notice the number of bottles of alcohol. And I went, yeah, I like a variety. Like I don't drink a lot volume wise, but I have a lot of different types of alcohol so I can make different drinks. So that's why I have so many bottles. But I got a couple new ones recently to experiment with some different drinks. Aperol was one, which the drink I was having before. But I also got this French apple brandy. And what's it called again? Oh, my brain's gone blank. The American version is called Applejack, and Americans tend to make it out of the sweeter apples, and the French version starts with C and tends to be made of tart or even sour apples, so it's a slightly different taste. Calvados. God, I was going to go look at the bottle, but I thought, no, I'll remember. It's called Calvados. I already know the next drink I'm going to make is going to have Calvados in it. I'm going to a version of a sidecar that has so I don't mind apple cider, but that's the thing of, you know, drinking in volume, and there's a lot of sugar in apple cider. I quite like apple cider. I've got a bottle. This is my favourite, actually. Right here. This is made in country New South Wales, a town called Orange, which had been famous for years for its apples. Wineries, now they produce cider. They call this mob Small Acres. This is a still cider, like it's not bubbly. I really like it. Probably my other favorite is, and this is a bubbly one, is made just outside of Melbourne, on the Bellarine Peninsula past Geelong, and it's called Flying Brick. They make a whole range. The standard ones, you know, they do the sweet, dry, and draft ciders. Draft is the best. I'm not really into dry ciders. I don't like them too sweet as well, but you know, I'm adaptable. But yeah, Flying Brick and their logos are black cockatoo. They make a really good cider. So have I tried sugar-free cake? Yeah, it's okay. I'm a Pepsi Max guy. Oh, sorry, Adam. Apologies, lots of things. You asked, do I agree Trump is an awful president? Beyond that, I think he's an awful person. I think he's a hideous, vile, obnoxious, reprehensible person. He's a fucking abomination of a president, but just as a person, he's fucking vile. I was like, did I ever get busted by the cops for drugs? No, because I hardly ever did drugs. I will admit to having had adventures with illicit substances, but I've done it so rarely. I would have been super unlucky to be busted by the cops because I've hardly ever done it, really. Oh my God. See, that's so fucking sarcastic. Trump's awful. How can you say that? His wife seems so happy. That, like, I mean, she literally bought into that. That's obviously a transactional adventure for her, but it's very hard to have any sympathy for her because she's complicit in everything he does. Oh my God. So if you think Melania Trump's missing again, I love when people start with conspiracy theories and say, no, Melania's gone missing, and they have a body double on all these public events. Not because I think it's true. I think it's just funny to bait them with stuff like that, to say they're so dysfunctional that she won't go out in public and they're using a body double. That's hilarious. People suck. Do I think Tony Abbott and Hitler are related? Just in ideology, they've got a lot of common ground in their ideology. And Adam, I don't know why you would say something as stupid as that. Don't think I really dignify you with attention beyond that, honestly. Yeah, what will be? Oh God, talking about Tony Abbott. What will be funny to me, and I think to a lot of other people, is to see the Federal Liberal Party basically shit themselves after this state election result, which is so disastrous for the Liberal Party, because the extreme conservative fringe of the Liberal Party had like been calling the shots for years, and their strategy has failed so badly in this election, and it's clearly been failing federally, but they've been in denial about it. But this has got to bring home to them, this bullshit you're doing is unrepresentative. You are representing only a minority of your own party, let alone the Australian populace. These pushes to the extreme right with pandering to bigotry and oppressing minority groups, the majority of Australians reject that. yeah, the majority of Australians reject this bullshit they've been doing, and they need to wake up to it. I personally think they're gonna freak the fuck out. I think they're going to really panic now, and there's enough time because a federal election probably won't be till somewhere between March and May next year, and that's plenty of time for them to panic. And I want to see them eat themselves again, because the switch to Scummo has completely failed to turn their fortunes around. Not only have people not embraced him, there's been a massive backlash for the replacement of Malcolm Turnbull. And the Libs are in massive fucking denial about this. And I don't know how long they can keep their head in the sand over this. Oh, that's right, Safa. The New South Wales election's on in March. Yeah, there's probably a federal election in May. Yeah, well, God, the New South Wales state election ought to be interesting too. Don't really know which way that's going to go. Oh, Mitchell, do I think Australia will become a republic? I think Australia should be a republic. I think the idea of a foreign power being our head of state is fucking ridiculous. And for all those people who say, oh, it doesn't mean anything, I point you to November 11th, 1975, when the democratically elected government of Australia was dismissed by the unelected vice-regal representative. So, yeah, most people think when Betty Windsor pops the clogs, will be more likely to be a republic, because no one takes Chuckles seriously. But there's been a suggestion for a while that Betty pops her clogs, Chuckles will just go, you know what, I shouldn't be king. I'm going to abdicate my role as king. My son, who everyone loves, should be king. Politically, that would be quite a smart move, because if Chuckles was king and so Australia's king, it would be a boost to the Republican movement. But if good old Wills was king, I think he's considerably more popular than Chuckles, and that would not work in the Republican movement's favour. But who knows? Who really knows? Well, see, this is the thing, Liberals suck. The Governor-General is our head. Well, the Queen is our head of state, and the Governor-General is the Queen's representative. The Governor-General is the vice-regal point. So is the Governor-General can sack an elected government, because that's how it works. And that's, you know, with the Queen's authorization. Yes. Hey, Miguel, how's it going? Well, that's the other thing, Safa. We'd have to change coins. And Chuckles might just go, look, I'm not even going to do a coronation. Don't bother changing anything. I'm just going to abdicate my position and put Wills in there because he'll be there for decades. He might not do it. Would be a shrewd political move, but he might not do it. Useful gravity going a 34-seat majority. I mean, what's the latest is pretty amazing. Oh, so you like Harry. Yeah, but see, Harry's not that closely in line for the throne. After Chuckles, it goes Wills, then all of Will's kids, and then Harry. So if I do a quick look to the ABC live stream again, because they're the trustworthy ones. Live stream. What are the numbers? Now, they're saying 58 to the ALP, 20 to the Libs, 2 Greens, 2 Independents, 6 in doubt. So, Jesus, at the moment, it's looking like close to 40-seat majority. Jesus. That is just a fucking caning. It's an absolute caning. Oh, Liberals like the big question. How many more years would England be in control of Australia? See, that's the thing. To change the constitution is a big process. It's not something. It's not something that I would put a year on because it's too hard to predict. Also, well, that's clear. You only want to fuck Harry. You don't want him as king. See, that's fair. That's also more likely because, you know, he's a real trouser man. He always has been. And yeah, he's married now, but, you know, I don't know. He's always been a real trouser man. And, you know, it's for the royal family to fool around quite a lot, honestly. So what I think about Mel's Brexit, I am completely at a loss to understand how badly the whole Brexit thing has been fucked up. It's such a shit show. I can't even wrap my head around how they're fucking it up. It's wild. It's just absolutely wild. A liberal talking about Canada. I don't know how Canada's constitution works. They are, as I understand it, Canada are still technically in the Commonwealth. I'm not sure how their constitution works. I'm not sure if they have a Governor General. I'm not sure if the monarch of England is constitutionally the head of state in Canada. That's the situation in Australia. Constitutionally, the monarch of England is our head of state. And they have a viceregal representative here, our Governor General. With an appointed role. At least the government appoints the Governor General. But yeah, still an unelected person with that much potential power is not great. Yeah, Liberal Soak, you're right that Canada does have the Queens on some stuff. But yes, I'm just saying, yeah, and you're right, Safa. Canada has a prime minister, not a president. So I think it's more than possible that they are in the same situation as us. While they're a parliamentary democracy, the actual constitutional head of state may well be the British monarch, which is a weird, insane, outdated idea. Like the literal thing of the monarchy is they are ruling because God says they're better than everyone else. And that's just a fucking ridiculous concept, quite honestly. What do I think of the Canadian Prime Minister? He's okay. He says some good things. He's not great environmentally because, you know, Canada has a big oil industry and they potentially have money to be made from what's known as tar sands, which is a really low grade source of oil. But the creation of oil that way is really environmentally damaging. And good old Trudeau has made it clear he places the making money for Canada above environmental issues. But, you know, he seems okay on a lot of things. Yeah. Oh, Liberal Soak, I think calling him weak is bullshit. It's just that ridiculous thing that's so prevalent in modern conservative politics, this need to express macho, authoritarian, strongman type stuff. So you end up with ridiculous shit like Trump, who's a worthless, sniveling coward. And people go, he's the tough guy. He's not a tough guy. He isn't a tough guy. He's fucking useless. He's a coward and weak and pathetic. And this thing, like I said, it's become disturbingly common in modern conservative politics, this worshipping of like totalitarian strongman type figures. It's fucking sick and it doesn't make any sense. But yeah. Musical Aviator, you've done the search. Okay, Google search says yes, there's a Governor General in Canada. Julie Payette. Is Her Excellency the Right Honourable 29th Governor General of Canada. There you go. Oh yeah, Trump's definitely a dictator lover. Whether he's sucking up, saying Putin's great, or Erdogan in Turkey, or what's his face in the Philippines. Basically, it's this weird adolescent wank fantasy of the tough guy, and it's like, God, you just actually come across as so fucking inadequate and pathetic and weak and insecure with this desperate need to flex and assert yourself. It's really fucking strange. And I don't really get it at all. But, oh my God, I drink my drink. Said I was going to make another one, didn't I? Yeah. All right, I'm going to make another one. Where did I put? There, that's what I was looking for. The other bit of my cocktail shaker. Oop, there's some leftover in there. So, oh wow, Aggro Pixie. I believe that if you got locked in a room with them, you'd sort the problem. I pity the fool who gets in your path, quite honestly. I absolutely do some sorting out. Right, I had to rinse a couple things because they've got all this egg white juice on it. I'm going to make another drink. So you'll still be able to hear me, but I'll be just off camera. Or I just got to go over here to the sink to rinse a couple of things. Keep the talk up. Everything's all sticky here. We don't like it all sticky. It's like, sorry, what's sticky? It's like a silly kid's joke I remember from when at school where you're like trying to sound rude and say, what's brown and sticky? Someone says, a poo. No, a stick. A stick is brown and sticky. It's like, well, yes, technically, you could argue that's right. But that's the classic joke structure of setting up an expectation and subverting it. Because when you say sticky, people think you mean like it feels sticky to the touch, but you go, no, I meant stick-like. A stick is stick-like. There are a few things more stick-like than a stick, really. All right, so that's my glass. My cut glass, tiki glass, and my... Right, this, and... where's my strainer? There it is. All right. Got my strainer. All right, so I've got all my bits and pieces, and that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to put some stuff back because I'm not using it anymore. Put the giant bottle of bourbon back. Put the port back. I'm not going to put port in this, but I'm going to get this funky bottle, this funky bottle. These two, and some ice, I guess. I need some ice. Put some ice in my shaker. Into the shaker, and one big square of ice in my glass because I like the way that looks. All right, sorted. Everything I need is in place now. Okay, so Sue, don't I have a slave to make your drinks? No, I actually enjoy making them. Aggro Pixie. I love that little exchange. Drew Osaki, you were wondering if Aggro Pixie is a big guy. No, as she says, small and violent woman, and she would fuck people up. Trust me. Don't mess with her. Okay, so what's in this one is think I will put a little bit of the agave in this one because I'm in that kind of a mood. A little bit of the agave in. That'll probably be enough. Right. So that's not alcoholic. That's just a sweetener. Right. So I'm going to make, well, basically, sorry, it was like you're laughing at my Santa Claus gut. Dude, yes, I am a fat bastard. There's no getting no getting around it. So I'm going to make a variation on the sidecar. A sidecar is basically brandy or cognac and an orange liqueur. You know, I've got Cointreau. You can get triple sec, which is a bit cheaper. And lemon juice. So using Calvados, which is a French apple brandy. There's obviously lots of different brandies and cognacs, and they're slightly different tastes. I don't usually make it with Calvados. I have another brandy that I often make it with. So just let me show you, if Australia was a republic, our president may think like Trump. Look, and our prime minister and the current system may think like Trump. You know, it's where democracy falls down. You're relying on people not being fuckwits, and people are very often fuckwits. Yes, Liberal said maybe I should be Santa for Christmas. I wouldn't need any extra padding in the Santa suit, really. All right, so that's the sidecar, which is basically a bit simpler than the whiskey sour. You don't have to worry about egg white, which can be a bit fiddly. So yeah, it's just brandy or cognac and an orange liqueur, you know, Cointreau or triple sec, and lemon juice. And just give a shaky to blend it all. There we go. And my little strainer, and just strain it into my drinking glass. There you go. This is one of my, well, basically having my two favorite cocktails in a row, a whiskey sour and a sidecar. Oh, that's good. Does that feel like coming home for Christmas? No, I just started a new job like last week. So I can't really take any time off. So I'll just be in town. Liberal stuff. Tony Abbott for UN president. God, didn't he want that at one point? Didn't he want to be Australia's UN representative? Something weird like that? When I think of Tony Abbott, I just think of how some conservative political cartoonists in Australia really fetishized him, basically. Like, you know, there's the joke of drawing Tony Abbott in budgie smugglers because he had a bit of a tendency to wear them. And but there was one cartoonist in particular who would, you know, draw him with a six-pack and whatnot. And it's like a bit of a kinky fetish going on. But at least, look, at least Abbott is buff. He's in remarkably good shape for his age, actually. Got to give him that. But it reminds me, there's like, oh, this absolutely shocking American political cartoonist called Jim Garrison, who I'm going to make a video about at one point because he's like the world's worst political cartoonist. But when he does Trump, he really fucking sexualizes the way he represents Trump, which is super weird because like Trump's in worse shape than I am, and that's saying something. At least this guy who fetishized Abbott was at least buff. But Trump's this incredibly dumpy, obese, 70-something-year-old man. And Ben Garrison always draws him in this super buff way. And it's like, dude, we get it. You want to fuck Trump, okay? Jesus, tone it down a bit, mate. But yeah, Garrison's really weird. He's hilarious. So you want me to have a better excuse? A better excuse than I only just started a job and they won't pay me if I don't show up. I thought that was a reasonably good excuse. The other one is it's a really long way to go, and is all sorts of stressful. So Trump looks like an anthropomorphic Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, there are certainly both some physical and moral similarities between Trump and Jabba the Hutt. There's no getting around that. Oh, Loogie, counting your tips for the night. You've got enough to buy a beer. Well, you know, sometimes you just got to treat yourself. Oh, Sebastian, you think Gina Reinhardt's more Jabba? Well, again, certainly morally, I think the whole gangster thing is how Gina Reinhardt thinks things should be. Like she's definitely wants to pay people slave labor. So nobody's paid you for 18 months. Liberals say, how many jobs have I had in the last year? Because I'm a contractor, so I change jobs semi-regularly. This is my second job this year. Previous job I was in for 2 years, which is actually a long time for me as a contractor. Often I'm only in a job for 6 to 12 months. Yeah, this one, you know, there's an initial term of the contract. If it works out, if I like working there and they like me, I may well stay there for a long time. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, honestly, I'm getting old. I should think about a job I can maybe retire into rather than fucking worrying about being a contractor and getting a new job every 6 or 12 months. Maybe I don't need that stress. Liberal say, no, the last job wasn't stressful. I'm a contractor. I'm usually employed for a fixed period of time. And the previous one was a 6-month contract and it finished. And now I'm on another contract. You know, it's if I leave a job, it's usually just because I've come to the end of the term, and not so much that, you know, the job's stressful or something. But contractor life can be a bit strange, I guess. So it doesn't suit everyone. It's a bit volatile. Liberal suck. Can I earn good? Oh yes, certainly more than I ever thought I would. Because I grew up in a country town. You know, with a father was a small businessman. You know, very big country town Catholic family, and we never really had money, and it was all shitty. So I never really expected to make a lot of money in my life. I certainly make way more than I ever expected to. Sue, you're not stressed. Your whole caps, not stressed, definitely. Just you're only slightly stressed about the demon fridge that you think wants to kill you. I had one of those a few years ago, the ice making ones. They are spookily noisy when you put them in for the first time and you're not used to them. Liberal suck, you want to know how much I earn? You can search on something like Seek. How much does a contract senior business analyst? I'm a business analyst. That's my job title. And I've been doing it for a long time. So I'm like a senior business analyst. You can look it up. How much does a senior contract business analyst? It's just gauche. I think it's a little bit gauche talking about money. It's all because it's also the funny thing online. You know, if you get into fights with people online, and let's be honest, I pick fights with people online. But one of the first things that's really important to so many people, if they're disagreeing with you, if they're upset at the things you say, it's very important for them that your life isn't fulfilling. And even more than my politics and my angry rants, I think what makes my haters really angry is that I'm in a stable, long-term, happy relationship and in a very successful career, because it's very important for their internal narrative that I'm alone and a failure. And the fact that I'm happy in a long-term relationship and a really successful career upsets them heaps, which is kind of funny. But yeah, Sebastian, what do I analyze? Business. As the business analyst, I analyze business. Now in IT, what that usually means is when there are system changes or new systems, I work with the people involved to document the requirements. So I have to use all my communication skills to make sure things work out the way everyone wants them to, with varying degrees of success. You know, without wanting to sound too vain, I'm actually pretty good at the job. Oh, Sue, the fridge wants to kill the TV. Ah, so it's an appliance jealousy. Wow, that's that. See, that's the bad when the machines are at war with each other. At least they're not after you. Ah, right, Loogie. You love contract work, but sometimes it's difficult getting paid. That isn't usually a problem for me because I'm normally doing it for big companies, but there's certainly been a few hairy things in the past. As if everyone wants to be the biggest in the house, and it's not you or Andrew. So it's the TV and the fridge you're fighting for dominance. I get it. You want to be a senior business analyst level. So it takes, but you have to be consistently good at the job for at least 5 or 6 years to be regarded as senior. I've been doing it longer than that. So yeah, but yeah, that's my work. Okay, look, when you said the baseball bat, it's probably I'm going to sidetrack things with a funny story of my checkered employment past. This is a long time ago in my 20s. I was working a whole bunch of different part-time jobs in my 20s. I don't think I had anything approaching a real job till I was about 27. I got my first proper full-time job. Up until then, I was just working a bunch of temp jobs. And one of them, which a friend got me, and I'm not making this up, I worked for a venture that was running an event called the Miss Nude Australia competition. So the entire competition was to get ladies to appear at a venue, and there's going to be like in each capital city was the plan. It's yeah, you know, so the ladies would basically, well, I think they weren't nude the whole time, but they would eventually parade around nude, and the audience would vote. So yeah, that was an actual job I had, working on the event management of the Miss Nude Australia quest. And it was based in Sydney, and it was based in a suburban strip club. And the owner, look, I'm not saying he was mafia, but he certainly acted like he was mafia. And he actually kept a baseball bat at his desk for when business meetings got a bit spirited. He was a character, and that was a very stressful job, actually. And hey, Frank, oh yeah, this is a special live stream because there is an election in Victoria that went the way I wanted to go, so I wanted to gloat. You want to know what I spend all my vast wealth on, Liberal Suck? Well, rent is expensive. I owe the tax department some money because there was a period when I wasn't working, and so I didn't pay them taxes, meant to pay them, and so I owe the tax department some money. But you know, you spend it on stuff, the internet, socializing, but rent. My single biggest expense, without a doubt, is rent. Oh, so you want to know if people watch my videos and still employ me? The short answer is they haven't watched my videos because they're not attached to my real name. None of my social media is attached to my real name. So although they could find me without too much trouble, they could link my real name, I guess, because I've checked online to see how easy it is, and it's not that difficult. So you're an accountant. My accountant actually helps keep the tax department off my back. But yes, it's a simple fact that I owe them some money, but you know, they're being patient with getting it back, so that's okay. Frankie, you want to know if Pence is more likable than Scummo? In simple terms, that's possibly true. Scummo's trying to do this, oh, I'm an everyman dorky dad type of thing, and everyone's going, we can see straight through you, motherfucker. And I don't think Pence tries to be anything that he isn't. I think he's very clear about what he is. So you could tell everyone I'm your sister. You could, or you could keep it a secret. Oh, Mitchell, that's a big one. What do I think about the concept of Western Australia seceding from Australia? Never going to happen. Absolutely never going to happen. Constitutionally, not possible. Liberal Suck, do you need a degree to be a business analyst? You don't need it. It can help. I've been doing it for so long, there was no sort of, when I started as a business analyst, there was no sort of qualification. I learned on the job how to do it. These days, there are various courses and accreditations for being a business analyst. So not necessarily a degree, but you can get accreditation from the IIBA, the International Institute of Business Analysis. Oh, so you have Klinger videos. This is the thing. When I were a lad, I liked to dress up. I think my dad was always sure I was gay, and I just happened to not like dudes. But there's a combination of when I was young, not playing sport, not being any good at sport, not drinking beer, not having a girlfriend, but that was not because I was gay. It's because Catholic guilt and repression worked too well on me, and I was really insecure and shy. So I never had a girlfriend until I was at college. And when I was at college, I did a theatre degree at college, which just probably reinforced my dad's concept that I was gay. But also, I used to like dressing up. And one day, I just found this bag of old clothes, and they were mainly women's clothes. And I was just dressing up in them and prancing around. And my dad had like a Super 8 home movie camera and took a lot of video, and started calling me Klinger after the cross-dressing character in MASH. And yeah, there is a Super 8 film which we had converted to video of me. I'm either a very young teenager or possibly even preteen, wearing ladies' clothes. Yeah, and so my dad called me Klinger. Yes, so I think. Oh, so you just found them? Maybe you should. Oh my God, you should send them to me. I could put them on YouTube. Me as a cross-dressing kid. But yeah. Oh, look, you're saying you're from Indiana and everyone hates Pence. Oh, David, it doesn't just look like Labor won in Victoria. It looks like Labor absolutely crushed the Liberals in Victoria. What happened to my phone? Put it over here. In the latest figures, if I quickly see what the ABC is saying, what are the numbers they're saying now? They're now saying 59 confirmed ALP, 20 libs, 1 green, 1 other, 7 in doubt. So the ALP is basically looking at a 30-seat majority, just fucking absolutely crushing the libs, which is brilliant. Is that Frank? You don't like people in general, but you mostly like females. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I don't know why. This is like saying I have a black friend. Frank's my conservative friend, an English Tory. And we just get on because we don't bullshit each other. A lot of Frank's political ideals are different to me. But personally, I think we're on the same wavelength. We basically treat people decently. Like when it gets down to actual party ideology, Frank's a Tory. But on a personal level, we're both very big on don't bullshit people and treat people decently. Don't be a bigot. Don't be a piece of shit. And I think that's why Frank and I get on, because we're both very plain spoken and we're both very big on treating people decently. Oh, Daniel, you're saying Anthony Green's predicting Labor will end up on 61 with a majority of 34. Fuck me. They only had 45 seats going into this election. This is a disaster for the Libs. And yeah, Sebastian, I want to see it federally. Yeah, I definitely want to see it federally. And I think the Federal Liberal Party will shit itself after this. They're just going to panic. Sue, you know nothing about her. Are you supposed to know? I support Labor. You know, I just have, I don't know, for the longest time, I've been very pro-union, protect the downtrodden. And so, yeah, I've been in Australian terms, on the side of the Labor Party as opposed to the Conservatives. What'd be funny is the username Frankie the Skin. Frank is a skinhead, old school, who appreciates like the reggae and ska roots of the skin movement. But yes, I think we could definitely take some stupid bigots by surprise if we were together. It's pretty funny. Liberals are friendly Geordie shit. I'm not sure what that statement means. And I've gotten into trouble before with getting swamped by angry Geordies friendly Geordies. I'm the angry Aussie. He's the friendly Geordie. Friendly Geordies fans having decided that I don't like friendly Geordies and sort of storming my live streams and what's your problem? And I'm like, what the fuck is your guys' problem? What did I ever say? Oh, David, I am so fucking happy that the fear campaign, the bigotry and lies campaign failed, because that's the federal Libs have been doing the same thing, demonizing asylum seekers, refugees, migrants, spreading the lies about, they're tearing Australia apart, and they've got to understand their bullshit is rejected by the majority of the population. But I don't know, their head's so far up their own asses. I don't know if it's going to penetrate at all. I reckon they're really going to panic. I reckon they're going to be acting like a chook with its head cut off in the lead up to the next election. I reckon they're going to get more and more incoherent. And what I really hope, what I'd love to see, what I think would be hilarious is the Libs recognizing Morrison's a complete fucking failure has been completely rejected by the electorate. And they've got enough time to really fucking panic and start thinking stupid thoughts about, maybe we should replace him too. And because they don't understand how negatively the electorate viewed the replacement of Turnbull. They seem to completely fail to understand what they did is completely rejected by the majority of the electorate. And I reckon they're stupid enough to do it. And of course, you got Abbott. When I look at Abbott's behaviour, it's so stupid and destructive. I thought, he is not even thinking about the good of the Liberal Party. He's thinking about himself. I think he sees the rise of right-wing populist demagogues, and I honestly think he sees, even if he leaves politics, he sees a career in media, being a right-wing loudmouth. So he just keeps saying all this outrageous shit that he never even has to be answerable for. And so I think he's going to continue to be a destructive force in the Liberal Party, and the rest of them are going to panic and act like idiots. So, Frank, you don't share surprise that Nige doesn't like Tommy. Yeah. Oh my God. That a side note, because I'm about to go. But yeah, for those who hadn't seen, oh my God, the nutters in the UK, Nigel Farage. God, I'm blanking on their name at the moment. But sort of the ultra nationalist party that had a bit of lobby strength in the UK, UKIP, UK Independence Party, which Nigel Farage nominally left a few years ago, but he's still very influential. The guy who's currently there, and apparently UKIP have had like 6 leaders in 2 years. They're so torn apart by internal divisions, they can't maintain any sort of consistency. And they've had like 6 leaders in 2 years. And the current leader thinks he should get racist troublemaker Tommy Robinson in, or real name Stephen Yaxley Lennon. Should get him in. And he even said, oh, he's my advisor on rape gangs. Like, what? Yeah, and Nigel Farage has come out and said, that's bullshit. There's no way that piece of shit Tommy Robinson should be part of UKIP. So a lot of people are going, oh, this will probably destabilize UKIP to the point they'll lose another leader. Which is why I fucking hate Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson is a lying, bigoted sack of shit, opportunistic prick. Risked turning some serious trials into mistrials. He was putting a trial at risk. Like there was, like a grooming gang, as all South Asian men, and he was playing the whole racist angle and big noting himself. And the judge had said, for the duration of the trial, like you can't discuss the guy's names. And Tommy Robinson tried to whip up racist hysteria and said, oh, the judge is protecting him. Like, no, the judge is just making sure there was a fair trial so the fuckers don't have grounds for appeal. And what Tommy Robinson did was place the trial severely at risk, and he stood to be the person who got these rapists off, because his behavior could have provided reasonable grounds for saying these guys can't get a fair trial, and his behavior could have caused a mistrial and got these rapists off. And you look at it, he would have been perfectly happy with that, because he could have used that to whip up his racist base even more. Oh, see, the rapists got off just because they're Muslims. And it's like, no, dickhead, there's a whole legal process, and you knew what you were doing was breaking the law because you'd been convicted of it before and placed on a bond, and you did it again, and you fucking deserve to go to jail because you're a lying, opportunistic, racist piece of shit. And because there are white rape grooming gangs, and he never speaks out against them in the UK. He's just a racist piece of shit who opportunistically exploits things for his own personal gain, and he doesn't care who's hurt by his bullshit. And he would have actually really liked it if these rapists had got off, because he could have whipped up his racist mob even more then. Daniel, that is a good question. Why doesn't he use his real name? I don't know the answer to that, and I find it a bit weird. Musically Activated, right? Darren Hinch did that, and Darren Hinch did get convicted of contempt of court. And I can't remember if he did actual jail time or just got home arrest, because he was on home detention for a long time. So I'm not sure if he got an actual jail time plus home detention or just home detention. But yes, but Darren Hinch got a conviction for that reason. It's like, in a lot of cases, like in a sensitive case, the judges say details of this can't be made public until the case is over, because you threaten the chances of a fair trial, and you grandstanding saying, oh, this pedophile, and naming them and putting their picture about could actually get them off, make sure they never get convicted. So there's this bullshit egotistical grandstanding that has to stop. So Frankie, you think he changed his public name so his family wouldn't get dragged in? But yeah, everyone's known his real name for ages. Maybe Tommy Robinson's just his brand now. Maybe it's that. Who knows? But yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's an absolute piece of shit. Yeah, Sebastian, don't these people understand the independence of the judiciary? No, they don't. Yeah, and that's the thing. The most recent thing where good old Tommy got jailed briefly, but now he's out while awaiting a retrial. He got convicted by that judge because he'd gone through this before, and he'd been told point blank, you do this shit again, expect to go to jail. And he did the shit again, and he got jailed. But then another judge said, well, you rushed that a bit. We should have another trial. And I actually don't know the status of that, where that is. Oh, God, Sebastian, the people who think Tommy Robinson's a martyr is fucking sick. The guy I mentioned earlier, Ben Garrison, frequently invokes Tommy Robinson as a martyr. It's really fucking sick. Okay, Frankie, you reckon Tommy hates it when people call him Stephen? Cool, that's a reason to call him antagonize the kid. The Liberals are saying, oh, the Liberal, you're saying Labor's 62 to 18. What is the latest from the ABC? They're the ones I trust with the numbers. I mean, the absolute final numbers probably won't be known for a couple of days. There will probably be a few that hang around. ABC is currently saying 59 to Labor, 20 to the Libs, 1 Green, 1 Independent, 7 still in doubt. So yeah, the Libs are still staring down the barrel at Labor having more than 30 seats majority over them. Oh man, this is fucking humiliating. I mean, I don't like to be too mean, but fuck lobster with a mobster, Matthew Guy. His career is fucking over. He's a piece of shit who victimized, marginalized people, said stupid bullshit and lies about safe schools, stupid bullshit he was going to shut down the safe injecting room. He was a fucking piece of garbage, and this is the fucking bollocking he deserved. Fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, Sebastian, yeah, vote below the line, man. That the bullshit with the Senate thing, we probably won't know the final deal with the Senate until well into the week. yeah, it will be interesting to see which, if any, of the really weird loony parties get a seat in the Senate. I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone's predicting Labor to have a majority in the Senate. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether that's going. So, but oh my God, if Labor get a majority in the Senate as well, fuck, they just go to town. Yeah, if the swing that's in the lower house is reflected in the upper house, that'd be all sorts of shenanigans. Oh, talking about the missionary. Oh my God, yeah. Look, I probably want to sign off. I finished my drink. It's after 10 o'clock. It's not often I say I'm glad someone's dead, but I'm fucking glad that missionary got killed, because what he did was bullshit on so many levels. Just the fucking arrogance of, oh, I'm going to go into this isolated tribe and I'm going to convert them to Christianity. It's like, fuck you, you piece of shit. But double down with, these people are like the last, are regarded as basically possibly the last completely isolated group of people in the world, and they would have no immunity from a lot of diseases in the outside world. So on top of everything else, this piece of shit could have killed them all. But I really, really fucking hate shit like that. And like I said, it's very rare for me to say, well, I'm glad he's dead. But I'm honestly glad they fucking killed him, because what he did was completely unacceptable. Fuck that noise. Daniel, you're looking up currently in the Senate, they're saying 17 Labor, 10 Libs, 1 Green, 2 Nats, 1 Reason, 9 others. The nine others are still undecided? Is that what we're saying? So how many seats are in the Senate? If that's the whole Senate, that's 17, 27, 30, 31, 40. Oh, right, so you have to have 20 or 21 to have a majority. So that would be a long shot for Labor to get an outright majority. But there's probably enough they can negotiate with their to get most of their agenda through. You know, and maybe it's better if Labor doesn't have an outright majority in the Senate, so they do actually have to negotiate and work with other people. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I am so fucking happy that the Libs got the fucking caning they did in the lower house. Okay, what's up, Matthew? Can Australia be safer than Burke Street? Look, that was a really unfortunate and incredibly isolated incident. And yes, we all want that to never happen. You know, we're in a place where it very rarely happens. And we all want it to never happen on a number of levels. But I also mentioned this earlier. I get upset with people fixating on an extremely rare terrorist act like that, and completely failing to address a disastrous situation with domestic violence of, you know, I think there's been like 70 women killed by their current or former partner in Australia this year. It's happening every week. You know, people freaking out about something that happened, you know, once a year, once in a couple of years, while completely ignoring something that's happening every week. So yeah, fixating on extremely rare terrorist events is fucking stupid. Liberal suck you. What do I think? I think the likely result in the federal election is a pretty resounding Labor win. There's a lot of variables, and it would be foolish to count your chickens before they're hatched. But I would confidently bet on Labor having a 20-seat majority in the next election. I know some people are saying they reckon it's a reasonably safe bet that Labor would have a 40% majority. But I reckon Labor getting a 20-seat majority federally is a reasonably safe bet. But yeah, nothing's for sure, and there's a while to go. Anything could happen. So who knows? But I am quite hopeful of a resounding Labor win in the next federal election. Look, having said that, I am going to retire. Thank you all so much for your time. It's kind of been fun having this and gloating and getting a bit of a laugh in. So I have to admit I was nervous before these results come in. I had always said the most likely result in the state election was for the government to be returned. And I was hoping for an increased majority. I wouldn't have dared to hope for a reaction this big, a result this good. So I'm super happy that their bullshit and negativity has been given the boot, and I want to see the same thing replicated on the federal scale. Nobody, and wrestle with deep thought. Yeah, saying hello and goodbye. So thank you very much for your company. And I hope to see you all again soon. So look after yourselves, but I will say bye for now.